Let's just turn that music on.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me at the back all right? Can you hear me okay? On behalf of Marlene and the entire Dalgliesh family, thank you for being here today to this intimate gathering to celebrate the remarkable life of William Allen Dalgliesh. To his sisters, his extended family, his dear friends, neighbors, former colleagues, and those who have traveled from near and far, welcome, and a very special welcome as well to everyone that is joining us by live stream. Though miles may separate us today, we are united by love and by remembrance, and of course by gratitude. So my name is Susan, and it's both a privilege and an honor to walk alongside my dear friend Rita and her wonderful family as we celebrate a life that was, by every measure, richly and beautifully lived. We gather today because someone deeply loved has died, and the truth is painful. But we also gather because someone that was deeply loved has lived, and that truth deserves to be celebrated. A celebration of life does not ask us to choose between tears and smiles. It reminds us that there is a room for both. We grieve because we have loved, and we celebrate because we love, and know that love does not end. And when a life ends, the love still consistently comes on. It changes form, it settles into our memories and our stories and our traditions, and ultimately into the people that we become. As Alan's family came today and settled in, and we were welcomed by the familiar sounds of Canon and D. You know, for many, it's simply just one of the world's prettiest pieces of music. But for the Dalgliesh family, it became something much, much more. Alan didn't simply just play the music or enjoy the music. He shared it. He shared it alongside his children and later with his grandchildren, patiently encouraging each new musician until individual notes became one beautiful, gorgeous harmony. Perhaps there's no better metaphor for Alan's life. He understood that harmony isn't created because everyone plays the same part. It is created because each person brings something truly unique. Today, an instrument has fallen silent, but the music continues. It lives on in Marlene and in Rita and Kevin and Rosemary and Robert. And it lives on in Alexander and Callista and Angela and Anthony and Ashawn and Lily and Holly, and already in little wee Rex, who is the newest voice in this remarkable family symphony. The melody has not ended. It has only simply been entrusted now to the next generation. And I think we're all in good hands with that. Everyone knows that Alan came from remarkable stock. His father, William Wallace Dalgliesh, possessed wonderful wit and an ability to laugh at himself, qualities that Alan quietly inherited. At William Wallace's funeral, the family had shared a poem that he had written called Ode to Myself Without Prejudice. It captures both his humor and the generosity of spirit that became part of the Dalgliesh family legacy. And a bit of it reads, "Oh, I am a lad of many parts. My handsome face wins many hearts. Old ladies smile and laugh with glee whene'er they catch a glimpse of me. Young kids, old dogs, and even cats for me put out their welcome mats. It is not for my looks alone, nor for my voice's mellow tone. No, it is for my heart of gold. At least that's what I have been told. I've other virtues too as well, but modesty won't let me tell." Sometimes he signed his work, can you guess who? So those words always bring a smile, but beneath the humor lies something deeply true. Like his father, Alan never measured success by recognition or applause. His true legacy was found in the life that he built. A legacy of curiosity, of music and learning and kindness and laughter and wonder. But most of all, it was a legacy of family. He believed every person had gifts waiting to be discovered, and he had a wonderful way of helping others see those gifts in themselves. The quiet encouragement became one of the greatest gifts that he left behind. You know, in teaching others to notice what was around them, he also taught them how to live. And then, as life often happens, life quietly introduces him to his greatest adventure. And during the summer of a forestry week, Alan met a beautiful young woman named Marlene. Their love was built on friendship. It was built on respect and shared values and an unwavering devotion to one another. Together, they created a remarkable marriage and a remarkable family. They built a home where learning was encouraged, where music was celebrated, where creativity was nurtured, and every child and every grandchild child who crossed that threshold knew that they were loved exactly the way they are. Throughout the years, Alan would often turn to Marlene and say, "This is the life, eh, Marlene?" Those 6 simple words tell us a great deal about the man that we remember today. He wasn't waiting for life to become extraordinary. He already knew it was. The richest life is not measured by what we accumulate. It is measured by what we share. And by that measure, Alan's life was abundantly rich. Alan was also a man of quiet faith, not faith worn loudly, but faith expressed through kindness, through humility and gratitude, and compassion, and of course, wonder. The reading we are about to hear reminds us that a meaningful life leaves an influence that continues long after our earthly journeys have ended. And this is a reading from the Book of Wisdom, chapter 4, verse 7 to 15. "The righteous, though they die early, will be at rest. For old age is not honored for length or of time or measured by number of years, but by understanding that gray hair is for everyone, and a blameless life is ripe old age. There were some who pleased God and who were loved by him, and while living among sinners were taken up. They were caught up so that evil might not change their understanding or guile, deceive their souls. For the fascination of wickedness obscures what is good, and roving desire perverts the innocent mind. Being perfected in a short time, they fulfilled long years, for their souls were pleasing to the Lord. Therefore, he took them quickly from the midst of wickedness. Yet the people saw and did not understand or take such things to heart, that God's grace and mercy are with his elect, and that he watches over his holy ones." And this is the word of the Lord. The reading we've just heard from the Book of Wisdom reminds us that the value of a life is not measured by its length. It is never measured by its length. It is measured by its depth. It speaks of a life well lived, a life that leaves its mark through goodness, through wisdom, and through love. It assures us that those who have lived well with purpose and integrity remain forever held in grace and are remembered in the hearts of those whose lives they have touched. And everyone in this room knows that that goodness is in all of us because we're remembering Alan today. So now I would like to invite Alan's sister, Rosemarie, to lead us in one of the most familiar and beloved passages ever written, Psalm 23. And whether these words are part of your faith tradition or simply timeless poetry, may they bring comfort to your lives and hope and peace as we remember Alan and give thanks for the gift of his beautiful life.
Please join in the response as you feel comfortable. And the response is, "The Lord is my shepherd. There is nothing I shall want."
The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul.
The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want.
He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. The Lord is my shepherd.
There is nothing I shall want.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rosemary, or I should say Aunt Rosemary. I'm newly adopted into the family. There is a reason the 23rd Psalm has endured through generations, not because it removes our grief, but because it reminds us that even in life's darkest valleys, we are never truly alone. And perhaps it's one of the greatest comforts available to us today, knowing that none of us are alone in our grief. The knowledge that love does not end when a life ends, it simply changes the way that it lives within us. And we are loved and blessed to have Alan's love within us. Every family carries within it an invisible circle, those who are gathered here and those whose lives have helped shape the people that we have become today. So as we honor Alan, we also pause to remember those whom he loved and who now welcome him home. His beloved parents, his infant brother Robert and his infant daughter Maria, his nephew Cameron and his great-nephew Finn, his sister-in-law Janet and his brothers-in-law Jim, Morris, Jerry and Ray, some friends and colleagues who shared part of life's road with him, and all those whose names remain forever written in the hearts of those who love them. You know, love is never divided, it only grows larger. The love we carry for Alan does not diminish the love that we carry for others. Rather, it joins it. And on today, we honor them all. So may we hold them gently in our hearts as we reflect upon these words, safe in the undying light of love. All our laughter, all our grief, all our stories, all our joy, the one we now remember, the ones for whom we care. Love does not ask us to forget. It simply asks us to remember with grateful hearts. May all whom carry within us remain forever safe in the undying light of love. So, you know, there are moments when words have done all they can, and moments when music becomes the language of memory and the language of gratitude, the language of love. So we're now going to take a quick pause and listen to Requiem. And as the music plays, I invite you to think of Alan. Perhaps a conversation comes to mind, or simply the feeling of being in the company of a truly wonderful human being, someone genuinely kind and thoughtful. So may this music carry the memories through your heart. So for the last few moments, each of us has traveled through our own memories, and perhaps one of the greatest gifts of a life well lived is the memories that they leave behind. Memories that continue to comfort us, and stories that continue to make us smile and laugh, and lessons that continue to guide us. Alan's influence did not end with his passing. It lives on in the lives that he touched, in the kindness that he inspired, and in the curiosity that he encouraged, and in this beautiful family that he loved so deeply, so fiercely. And that is the quiet power of a life well lived. Its impact continues long after they're gone. When we think of Alan, many admirable qualities come to mind. But perhaps what people remember most is about how he made them feel. They were seen, and they were encouraged, and they were heard, and they were truly valued. Whether as a husband or a father, or grandfather, or a colleague, a mentor, or a friend, Alan had a remarkable ability to bring out the very best in others. His professional accomplishments earned him international respect, but those who knew him best understood that the center of his life was never his work. It was his family. Home was wherever Marlene was, wherever conversation freed flowly, and wherever music was played, and wherever laughter could be heard around the table. For Alan, family was not separate from a successful life. Family was the success. There's a quote by Umberto Eco that feels especially fitting for today. I believe that what we become depends on what our fathers teach us at odd moments when they aren't trying to teach us at all. And how true that is. The greatest lessons rarely arrive as lectures. They arrive through everyday moments and quiet examples. And Alan absolutely taught by the way that he lived. His children learned all of his greatest virtues and the importance of encouraging others, not through formal instruction, but by watching how he navigated his life with grace and with generosity. Those lessons cannot be found in textbooks. They are learned by watching someone live, and Alan certainly taught them well. And you're going to see that, because it is now my honor to invite Alan's children to come forward. So please welcome Rosemarie, Kevin, and Rob. While my friend Rita remains seated with her mom, she has asked me to share these words on her behalf. Dad was a remarkable man with impeccable ethics and a commitment to the truth. He never expressed a hint of arrogance and was graced with a wonderful sense of humor and, of course, his dapper good looks. He was a true gentleman and an amazing father, and I will carry his love with me always. Okay, Rose.
Thank you so much for being here, all of you. It means an incredible amount. I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the things that shaped Dad's life in general. And I'm going to begin with how it felt to have him as a dad. From childhood, I've experienced a feeling of well-being and pride whenever I've spoken about my father. And I've observed the same in his demeanor when he's talked about any of us, any of you, his family and friends. And distance may have separated, our extended family, but Dad embodied everyone. He was very interested in his nephews and nieces, his sisters, aunts, uncles, grandparents. We have all kinds of stories. And if he has been a part of your life at any stage, you will know what I mean. He connected with people in a symbiotic way, and whatever time you shared with him was special for both of you. Dad was a born researcher, and his joyful interest in the way things worked was present in all aspects of his life. He was highly observant, and he listened to others speak with an intentional focus, followed by reflective feedback and discussion. So you were always going to feel listened to, and he was just so interested. He was a real humanist, and everyone that he encountered sparked interest and enthusiasm and a lot of admiration. So I've heard a lot about all of you. Life on the farm in Picture Butte, we heard lots of stories about that. It's extremely rich in family culture, as Sue has mentioned, with extended family nearby, including Aunt Mouse. And as you know, many of you know, the Dorothy Dalgliesh School was named after her in Picture Butte. And she was a teacher for 3 generations. And she inspired Dad with her love of books and nature and her devotion to children's education, and all of that passed on to us. Dad told us about his sisters regularly singing in harmony, and we got to hear some of that on various occasions. His violin lessons and his love of the piano, which he definitely passed on to us. And he would, play duets and violin and piano duets with me, and sometimes Rita would sing along. We had lots of musical beauty because of him. His uncle Kenneth and Aunt Anne had a farm nearby, and he and his sisters grew up spending a lot of time with their cousins, and that meant a lot to him. He often talked about those days. My grandfather Bill wrote poetry, as you know, mostly humorous, which helped to shape Dad's sense of humor and his enjoyment of limericks and literal puns. Those were a constant. Dad was very moved, though, by some of the nature poems that he discovered after his father passed away. He was going through all his poetry, and some of them, he said, "This is beautiful." He was also a serious poet. And to have a sense of humor, you also have to have that deep connection to nature. Dad's interest in art was encouraged as well, and his uncle Howard gave him a portfolio labeled Artist of Picture Butte with art supplies inside. And he showed me some of his sketches not that long ago, and paintings of fields with cows and farm buildings, and I was not at all surprised that they evoked the place and time so well. He was an accomplished sketch artist all his life as well. We asked him to draw anything. It was very accurate. Dad later admired his mother Doris's work as a painter of Alberta landscapes. He loved the title she gave to one of her still lifes of fruit and leaves. She called it Living Still Life. And I don't know whether she was actually making a reference or echoing Salvador Dali's painting, but Dad appreciated the reference to the duality of consciously observed reality and its hidden mysterious energies. It was also clear that Dad took great pleasure in the talent and work of everyone he loved. This has been made abundantly clear. He saw their meaningful contributions as important and uniquely interesting. So he was always proud of people when they were putting themselves into their outlook on life, into their work, into their interests, and he just loved to share. Most people will say they had a lot of fun with him. During the summers of his 4-year program in civil engineering at the University of Alberta, Dad had, as you know, forestry jobs near Big Valley, Alberta, and he boarded at the home of Agnes and Callisto Zanutig, and there he met his future wife, as you know, their eldest daughter, Marlene, and her life was also very rich in family culture. And those two were so perfectly matched. I've never met a more romantic couple. After their engagement, they wrote many letters while he was finishing his undergraduate degree, and Marlene was in her last year of high school. And they were to have exactly what they visualized. So they were very fortunate, a beautiful, long life together. They kept saying they would have a long life, and they did. Devoted to several children, and their shared idealistic, compassionate, and romantic values. And despite her youth, Marlene was wise and intuitive. She knew that her path was with Alan. One time, in one of the letters I read, that they took young Lawrence out for lunch, and they had a great time. And Mom's family loved Alan immediately. I've heard lots of really amusing stories, but such close connection from the beginning. And Lawrence really liked my dad. And he was just, I don't know how young, very young, and they took him out for lunch. And when Dad went back to university, he wrote Mom a letter, and his poetic side was given full force because he said that while the boy was busy talking to both of them and they were responding, he felt like they were outside the shells of their bodies and floating up above the whole scene, just embracing. And he put it so beautifully. Their spirits embracing the whole time. And he wondered if it was strange for Lawrence and if he noticed there was something odd. Dad was on the wrestling team at university, and he and his future mother-in-law, Agnes, had fun with mock wrestling matches, which I was surprised to hear about because she was only about that tall. Dad said he was surprised when he realized she had large green eyes because she was always laughing so hard he couldn't see her eyes. Mom's Italian grandfather, Callisto, used to say, "Don't be worried." It was comforting because of the way he said it. But also because it distinguished between a person's character and their state of mind. Mom repeated this expression to Dad, "Don't be worried, Alan," in the last few years when he struggled to find out what he was supposed to do about his dementia. He actually took that as a responsibility. What do I do? And she would just say, "Don't be worried. Think of my dad." When Dad joined the Division of Building Research at the National Research Council in 1959, he said he would accept the job, sure, as long as he can have time off to get married. So you know, this was such an important focus in his life. Dad specialized in wind tunnel testing to predict wind pressures and weather-induced responses for buildings and other structures. And he was sometimes called to disaster sites like the Sears Tower in Chicago. Severe winds had caused windows to shatter and fall down from the skyscraper, and he had to help investigate what went wrong and calculate the type and thickness of glass in tall buildings that could withstand strong winds and hurricanes. Dad was passionate, creative, and innovative in his scientific research, and these qualities, again, as Sue mentioned, were present in his parenting, in harmony with our very creative mother. He was always interested in learning, and through every experience he shared with us, he considered our perspectives. He learned from everyone as well as teaching them. Dad celebrated the unique interests and career choices of his children and later his grandchildren with pride and supportive enthusiasm. Dad regularly reflected on the meaning of life across its manifestations and on the joy he experienced in family life. And as Sue said, often turning to Marlene, I heard this a million times, "This is the life, eh, Marlene?" Anytime he was happy, usually at the dinner table. His work at NRC was fulfilling and demanding, but being in the bosom of his family provided a joyful balance. He was very present in our lives, present before it became something that people are told, make sure you're present. These days, it was always since then. And that's how I think I learned to enjoy life, because I realized I had to have timeless times in every day, whether it's playing the piano or working on art or reading or interacting with somebody, listening to somebody, completely present during that time. And he really showed that. He was, he enjoyed swimming, and the entire family was active in the Ottawa Kingfish Swim Club for many years. And he was actually assistant coach for a while. And he was a very kindly coach, and he was known for his gentle encouragement and chocolate bars. When they settled in Ottawa in 1959, letters were exchanged and shared in a chain among the family. And we grew up feeling very connected to our extended family, in spite of the distance between us, physical distance. When Alan and Marlene relocated to Calgary, this commitment to staying connected continued with regular visits, letters, phone calls, and always the certainty that we were valued and loved. We remain committed to this connection to William Allen Dalgliesh and will forever honor his memory and his beautiful spirit, which from the beginning has radiated a passionate love for life and family. I'm going to just end with a quote, and I'll just try to gather myself. He sent a letter to me in response to my letter. I had written him a happy 80th birthday letter, and I just talked about all the memories I had of him and our time together, and how they orbit around you and you never have to let them go. And he responded with this beautiful and very poetic quote. Dear roses, such a bucket of happy thoughts. So again, the bucket, he was always making puns. So, and they call me Roses sometimes, so that's hence bouquet. Experiences we shared are like lighted candles on paper boats floating down the river of time. When remembered, the candles burn brighter. Memories of earlier times become harder to pick out of the growing throng, and it gets harder to bring them to mind to enjoy again. The memories we share are brighter for you, but by reminding me, you have given me the fun of remembering too. Thank you, love, Dad. Rest in peace, beloved father.
Thank you, Rosie. Kevin?
Oh, thanks, Rosie. You described our dad so well. A heartfelt thanks to everyone that's attending today, whether in person or virtually. It is so appreciated. Special thanks to my wife and soulmate, Babita, for sacrificing her spot here by my side so that our eldest, Anthony, could attend in person. Anthony truly revered his grandpa, Alan, just as he did his Papa Rugbeer, who sadly predeceased Alan. It's so unfortunate that circumstances prevented all of us from traveling to Calgary, but I feel your presence as I speak, Bobby and Ashan, knowing how much you both loved Dad. I can hardly express how grateful I am for having had such a father as Alan. Truly a noble man, reliable, dependable, disciplined, generous, patient, and so humble in his powerful intellect as to make anyone feel special while in his presence. Thank you, Dad, for passing those genes on to my beloved sons, and, well, some of them to me. Sometimes it skips a generation, don't you know? Alan is revered by many for his academic achievements and vast contributions to the world of science, but let's explore his lighter side with a few memorable anecdotes. First of all, how do I know this guy was born to be a scientist? Well, it's the day he told me that during high school summer break, he didn't go outside with his friends to enjoy the weather and maybe get into some mischief. No, he preferred to isolate himself in the basement and work on mathematics. No lie. On humor and wit, a little story. When I was in my early 20s, I made a deal to purchase Dad's car from him. I later found out, after the deal was done, that he went to my brother Rob and said, well, I just sold the car to Kevin for $500. And not only did he not have the $500 at this time, he also borrowed $500 in cash from me. Then he reflected for a moment and said, hey, good thing I didn't sell it to him for $1,000. On handiwork, I'll never know if this one was sheer incompetence or pure genius. But there was a time long ago when Mom asked Dad to put a shelf in the bathroom. He promptly got a length of 2x4 and simply nailed it to the wall above the sink. Needless to say, she never asked him for handiwork again. Not his favorite. On being a wingman, when Bobby and I were dating and getting pretty serious, we made a date at a fancy restaurant so that she could meet Dad for the first time. And I'm pretty sure that Dad secured the win for me that night and got himself a daughter-in-law. So thanks again, Dad. Shameless. As we were growing up, Dad would often walk naked from the bathroom to his bedroom, regardless of who was about. He repeated that offense a few times later on after the evil Alzheimer's got a firm grip on him. So I rage against Alzheimer's. I'd like to pull out a wand and go, expecto patronum, you evil dementor. Anyway, Dad, everything that's good about me I can attribute in no small part to you and Mom. You two were true soulmates, and in perfect symbiosis is okay too. Mom's selfless dedication to her role as a homemaker and her significant talents as a seamstress, a chef, a renovator, project manager, teacher, and wooden spoon wielding disciplinarian enabled you to reach the heights of productivity and success that you did. You left the world a better place than when you entered. You will be remembered with love and fondness. And we promise to look after your beloved Marlene.
Okay, Rob.
Yep.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yep. There you go. Hi. So I'd also like to add my thanks to everyone for coming here to honor Dad. I'm sorry that circumstances made it impossible for my family to attend in person. Lily, Holly, I know how much you love Grandpa, and I'm happy you can take part in this over the live stream. We didn't get to see him as much as we'd have liked. It wasn't enough. But you made him really happy in the many visits we had. I know he loved them just as much as we did. Tiny Holly's, "I'm just punching you," and infant Lily's, "and she gave the witch a tremendous shove," were favorite quotes of his that he often recalled with a delighted laugh. Jessica, you always worked so hard to get us together and make these visits magical times with memories that will last forever. I know I haven't thanked you enough for your thoughtful efforts. You've been really wonderful. Okay, so I realized that it would be really difficult for me to speak in front of you all. So I've arranged for a more eloquent speaker to record a message on my behalf. So could we play that? Oh, we need the sound.
I would be able to say, even in one take, Dad, live. I think you would have appreciated the workaround. Of letting my own recording speak for me. There are some things that I hope you knew, and I'm going to take a moment to address them directly now. You had a great deal of humility and a great sense of responsibility. Even deep in the ravages of the disease that robbed you of the use of your mind, you would worry about what you still needed to do to take care of others. Rest easy, Dad. You did your job as well as anyone ever has. You were a great father and a great man. I'm immensely proud to have been your son. My favorite moments with you were in making you laugh. Such pure infectious joy. It makes me happy to think of your sense of humor. It was a treasure. Even when the joke was a little on you, you saw the humor. I remember one night, I was about 10 years old. Mom had laid out our dinner in the kitchen, and we got distracted by something on TV in the living room. I came into the kitchen alone, and there was Kitty looking up at me with one paw on each side of your plate as she was daintily scarfing your food. I grabbed the offending beast and carried her outside. When I came back into the kitchen, there you were in her former place, unknowingly about to eat her leftovers. I was frozen in horror and hilarity as the fork moved from towards your lips. I said, "Wait, stop." And you paused and looked at me quizzically, but I didn't want to say why your dinner was ruined. There was some back and forth of, "What's wrong?" "Nothing." "Back to eating." "No, wait." And you started to smile and then chuckle at the absurdity of the situation as the loaded fork floated towards and away from your mouth in a confused dance. Finally, I had to own up. The cat ate your supper. And you laughed and threw down your fork and said, "Well, shit." You were very accomplished in your career and had an unparalleled intellect. But I think the best thing you ever did was finding Mom and recognizing the perfect soul for you. I'm going to take the liberty of speaking for you for a moment. Thank you, Marlene. You meant everything to me. There are no words to describe how completely I loved you. At your graduation, or was it your wedding, Grandpa was heard to say of you, "I never had a moment's trouble with that boy." Let me generationally bookend that remark by saying I never had a moment's trouble with that father. Goodbye, Dad. You'll never be forgotten. I don't think I would be able to say all the things that I want to say about Dad live in front of people or even in one take. I think he would have appreciated the workaround of letting my own recording speak for me. There are some things that I hope you knew, and I'm going to take a moment to address them directly now. You had a great deal of humility and a great sense of responsibility. Even deep in the ravages of the disease that robbed you of the use of your mind, you would worry about what...
But together they reveal something truly beautiful. Not simply what Alan accomplished throughout his life, but who he was. Family stories are a little bit like pieces of stained glass. Each catches the light differently. Each reveals a different color. And together they create a picture far more beautiful than any one piece alone. So today we have been given the gift of seeing Alan through the eyes of those who truly loved him the most. Excuse me. It has often been said that one of life's greatest rewards is becoming a grandparent. Alan embraced the role wholeheartedly. He celebrated achievements, he encouraged dreams, he shared their interests, and delighted in the unique gifts that each grandchild brought to his family. I have no doubt that each of his grandchildren carries a small piece of Alan forward into the world, and for that, the world will be a much kinder and gentler place. So it is now my honor to invite Alan's grandchildren to come forward, Alexander, Callista, Angela, and Anthony. And I'm going to see if I can get a wooden spoon from the back so that I can get after Alexander and Callista. They're here.
Oh, thank you. Good.
Rita, leave the spoon to me. I've got it. Okay, come on up, you guys. I'll let you guys get in here.
Hi all, I'm Anthony. I'm Kevin's son. My grandfather has always been an inspiration to my life. His brilliant mind gave so much to this world through his research and the time we spent with our family. As I've grown into my own path, I've realized that what he passed down to me was more than just talent. He passed on the love of learning, the satisfaction of building skill, and the kind intelligence that stays with someone for life. To me, William Allen Dalgliesh represents what it means to live your life with purpose and elegance, to be brave and to be strong. That is the example that he leaves with me and the one that I will carry forward. Thank you. Sorry.
I could not have asked for a kinder, more thoughtful, or more intelligent grandfather. It is so hard to see him go, and I still can't believe he is really gone. While he's physically gone, he'll always be with me, and he will never be forgotten. My grandpa left a huge impact on my life, and this impact started when he and my grandma suggested that I may enjoy science when I was young. And he encouraged me to experiment with life in a playful and creative way. When my doctoral thesis was published last month, I put him in my acknowledgement section, since he was a huge inspiration to me. I started to realize that I wanted to be a scientist when I learned what Grandpa's research journey was like, and the constant learning that occurs when you do research. From the formation of questions to traveling to different countries when disseminating findings, he showed me that the whole journey was so fulfilling. While the topic I study is different from his, I hope to apply the same passion and systematic thinking to my work as he did his. In other domains of life, he showed me how important it is to have fun, be kind, and be open to experience. Some of my favorite memories that I have with Grandpa are our long walks. We would tell stories, talk about math equations, and take in the beauty of our surroundings. One time we took a long walk near the Ottawa River when I was 9 years old, and I had just gotten my dog Susie at the time. He loved her and made sure that on these walks she always got a chance to rest and drink some bottled water. And on this one walk, a car headed right for Susie near our local mall, and luckily she rolled under the car without being hurt. This was a huge miracle, and I was prepared to just rush her home, thankful that she wasn't injured. But Grandpa, however, made sure to go tell off the guy who carelessly ran over her. He gave him a stern speech and asked him to apologize to me. And this really touched me and stuck with me for a long time, the way he stood up for me and cared so much for animals. And this is also the case with dear Blondie and Frankie and Archie, the other animals in the family. There are too many memories to share, so I'll conclude with a final few. On a later visit, he saw how impressed I was with his and my grandma's iPad. The iPads were new at the time, and I was 11 years old. He knew that I had to learn chemistry soon, so he and my grandma said that if I memorized a song about the elements of the periodic table, which he had handy on his iPad, he and grandma would get me an iPad. sure enough, they did. And I still know the elements by heart, and I always think of him whenever I think of chemistry or the periodic table. I used to use that iPad to make millions of FaceTime calls to my grandparents in Calgary. And at the time, this just felt too good to be true because I wanted nothing more than to be with them as much as I could. And it was always so painful for me to leave my trips to Calgary as a kid, as all the family would remember, since I would miss my dear grandparents, uncles, aunts, and cousins so much afterwards. Grandpa showed me what it means to care unconditionally for family, no matter how distant geographically or how few visits we had per year. We always just picked up where we left off, and Grandpa's presence brought me comfort and joy on every visit. I will always be thankful for all the good values Grandpa instilled in me and the inspiration that he gave to me and so many others to be a good person and to make the world a kinder, safer place. My grandpa will be forever missed, and may his soul rest in peace.
I'm Callista. I'm Rita's daughter. I did have some words prepared, but I think all I really want to say that hasn't been maybe said yet is that I really have a feeling that Grandpa would be really happy that we're all here together, and that we should, in spite of all of our pain, drink each other in and be really grateful that we all get to see each other, because he really did a great job of inspiring us all. And I know I wouldn't be the person I am and have the opportunities I have and be doing the work that I do without him. And I know he did something similar for all of us. And so I just want to enjoy everybody that's here and remind you that he would want us to be grateful that we're all in each other's presence for the first time in a long time. And just that he'll be very greatly missed. And it's really hard to get up here after seeing everybody. And it's really brave to say things in the feelings that we have. So just really grateful for everybody that's here, and just wanted to express my deepest love for him. And that's all.
Callista kind of stole my bit. I don't know what I could say that everyone here hasn't or will say. Other than he was a really great man, and he has a really great family. That's all.
I just want to read something that Bobby, my wife, and Ashawn wrote. And here goes. It's Babita Chad is my wife, and so she's speaking on behalf of her family who knew Alan really well. And they took to them very quickly. Alan and Rugbeer Chadha, who predeceased him, were fast friends. It was just a smooth transition into a big family. So here's what she wrote. The Chadha family deeply respected and loved your dad, and we will always treasure the time we spent together, from joyful barbecues to delicious dinners, special birthday cakes, and even secret handshakes. I'll explain that. My dad started a tradition where, if you were arriving or leaving, he would give you a handshake and there'd be like a $50 or $100 bill in there that would transfer into your hand. One time I didn't notice it, and I think it blew off in the wind, but that's okay. We fondly remember visiting Big Valley and Picture Butte and sharing so many great moments. He had a deep love for all his grandchildren, and his influence lives on in the Dalgliesh boys, who were inspired by him to pursue engineering and science and dream of traveling to Japan one day. He will be deeply missed and always remembered with love. Thanks.
So as you can see, I'm sure that Alan is so unbelievably proud of each and every one of you, from his children to his grandchildren. The creative way they presented themselves, the way they truly opened their hearts. And like Callista said, it's brave. It's brave to come up here and tell everybody how much you love someone when you're hurting. You know, in the Gospel of Luke, there is a gentle promise. It says, "Blessed are those who weep now, for they shall laugh." And you will all be laughing, I promise you that. But not because grief disappears, but because it slowly transforms itself. There will come a day when someone shares an Alan story or one of his favorite sayings, and before anyone realizes it in the room, everyone will be laughing. The tears may still come for certain, but they will be joined now by smiles. And that's not forgetting, that's just healing. Alan spent his life encouraging people to remain curious, to keep learning, to notice beauty, and to celebrate the gifts of others. And if we wish to honor him, as we do, I'm certain we do, we need to do nothing extraordinary. We simply need to continue what he began. Be kind, spend time with your family, encourage someone, take a walk, and notice the wonder that surrounds you. And every now and then, and just pause in the middle of an ordinary day, in the middle of an ordinary moment, and look at the people that are around you and quietly say, "This is the life." Because that may be Alan's greatest legacy, a family that loves and a family that laughs and stands beside one another through every season of life. That is a remarkable legacy. In a few minutes, we're going to conclude the celebration and gather for a reception. And I'd like to tell you that the family is hoping that everyone who is here who shares those stories will be encouraged to get up to the mic. There's going to be an open mic. And also the family's hoping to record those stories for Marlene and, of course, for wee Rex, just so that everybody in between can have a look back and see what this day and what this beautiful man was truly all about. So I'm going to encourage you all to go in there afterwards. We're going to switch the room over. The director will come in and let us know how it's all going to play out. But please keep those stories and keep those voices alive. They keep the laughter alive, and they remind all the future generations not how simply someone was, but they remind us how he loved, and that's really an important piece. And Alan's story deserves to be told over and over and over again. He's an inspirational, wonderful human being. So I will leave you now with this blessing. May it bring comfort in the days ahead and remind you that love remains with us always. May the sun bring you new energy each day, bringing light into the darkness of your souls. May the moon softly restore you by night, bathing you in the glow of peaceful rest and gentle dreams. May the rain wash away your worries and cleanse the hurt that sits in your hearts today. And may you believe in the courage within yourself. May you walk gently through this world, keeping your loved one with you always, knowing that you are never, ever parted in the beating of your hearts. And may we always remember that those we love never truly leave us. They remain in all things beautiful around us. So to all of you who have loved Alan, thank you for allowing me this wonderful privilege of walking beside you today. And thank you for sharing Alan with all of us. So as the music begins, the family will lead us from the chapel. So please remain seated until the family is departed. And I want to thank you again for being here and for allowing me this wonderful pleasure of being here with you. So safe travels and may peace be with you all.
Well, again, of course, thank you everyone for being here today. What we're going to be doing is we're just going to be processing first Alan out to the coach, and then we're just going to be taking him down to the other side for the crematorium there. Everyone else are welcome to make their way outside. And thankfully, weather provided. It's quite nice out right now, so you're just going to have a few peaceful minutes out there with each other. Once we have everything ready, we're going to come back and bring the family in to just have a short ceremony in the back. And then we'll bring everyone in once the room's ready, okay? We'll have some music outside as well. So at this point, yeah, we're just going to be processing out, and then if you're welcome to follow everyone, and then we'll make our way out. Thank you.
Come without it, come without it. Just all of my peace, held in trembling hand. Try to be faithful, try to be strong, but I'm laying away. I've been carrying too long. You don't ask for perfection, you don't turn me away. You only ask for my heart. Keep me anyway. So here I am, broken but empty my head. Fill me as you will. I don't have much.